Today I want to show you another setting in the world of electroculture. So last year I put a video of a setting that you can use in a pond, a reservoir, any body of water. And this year the pond is just crazy, the vegetation grew like crazy. And I don't know it's because of the setting that I put, but for sure I know the setting didn't impact negatively on it, so I will leave it for a long time. And today I want to show you another setting of electroculture to make something called energized water or violet water, based on the work of Marcel Violet. So the world of electroculture, there is no science behind it. Some people might call it BS. But before the Second World War, they used to have an International Journal of Electroculture. I read articles in the American Scientist. People were working in different universities on it. But for some reason, it disappeared before the Second World War. Maybe using free techniques to boost the vitality of plant wasn't as profitable as selling fertilizers to farmers. So the setting I want to show you is quite simple, quite similar to the one in the pond. You have a vessel, a glass jar of water. Inside the drum is only here to protect the vessel from the rain. And inside the vessel, you have two electrodes. I used pencil lead, the kind of thing you would use to draw, like 2H. You could use copper, but the idea is to use that water for your seedlings, for your animals, and maybe yourself. So if you put copper in it, you might get copper poisoning. So you have two electrodes in the water. One is connected to the antenna, and one is connected to a piece of copper that goes in the dirt. So the antenna is made of, everything you see is recycled. The antenna is a piece of metal, so ferromagnetic. If you put a magnet, it will stay on it. The antenna on top of it is a chimney sweep, also magnetic. And connecting the antenna to the drum is a piece of copper, which is diamagnetic. So the whole idea of electroculture is to use the local magnetic field, the one from the earth, or the one you can induce with magnets, to boost the vitality, the fertility of plants, of seedlings or beings, chickens, bees, and maybe other things. So you could use magnet, you could use rocks, you could use basalt like I did in the pond because it's a paramagnetic rock, it reacts to local magnetic field. You could use metal like copper. You could also use that kind of shape. So usually in electroculture they use pyres and also shapes like that. And somehow the explanation, because there's no science, is when the magnetic field comes from the earth like that, when it hits a shape like that, the surface of contact is larger, so it stays longer. That's roughly the idea. And what's around it will benefit of the local magnetic field, which is the water. So I want to show you the inside. So as I said, one electrode comes from the pole and goes inside, and the other one leaves from here. So inside, just use a piece of styrofoam. And you have two electrodes made of pencil lead connected to terminal blocks. You don't want them to touch each other, obviously. So what you want to do is to put water in it. You leave it for 10, 15 days. You could use water from the lake, water from a pond, rainwater, but you want to drink that potentially. So maybe you could use tap water. You can leave the water for a few hours overnight to have the chlorine to leave the container. And every 10, 15 days, you can get that water, put in a watering can, and use that water to give it to your donkeys, to your animals, to your chickens, to your bees, and maybe take a vodka shot of that water to drink it. People have done that for a very long time, way before me. There are a bunch of testimonies. I'm not talking about health, but I'm just talking about seeds and stuff like that. And that's it. So I would be very curious if you know that kind of settings, if you've done it before, if you have any results or any settings you want to share in the comments, I would be very interested. Et voilà!